Okay, this right here is my latest episode of Flip Through Friday. And because people have been talking about this lately, and because I've talked about a couple of my games, this is the latest Heroes Unlimited, second edition. And it's a little bit different from the first edition. First edition had a little bit more like equipment and things like that. This has some modified rules and some other things that it takes into account. So let's start looking at it. Again, it has beautiful artwork. I love the artwork in this. They are just drawings, obviously black and white, inked and all that. But yeah, so here you can see everyone who worked on it. Table of contents, and it breaks it down by page, and then quick find table. I like the quick find table. And then you got your power categories. Now, the Powers Unlimited gives you powers. There's 3 Powers Unlimited that go with this book. That's all you need to run any kind of Heroes game you want. Is this book and the 3 Powers Unlimited. If you want, you can use just this book, and you'll have plenty of gaming fun with this. But anyways, here's the power categories: Alien, Bionics, Experiments, Super Soldier, Hardware, Analytic, and these are the breakdowns of it. So Super Soldier is part of Experiments. Hardware, there's 3 different kinds, actually 4. Analytical, electrical, mechanical, and weapon. I guess super vehicles too. I never really play with super vehicles, but then you have magic characters, so enchanted objects, so like a magic sword, or actually like a magic necklace, enchanted weapon, a magic sword, mystically bestowed, mystic study, wizard, spellcaster. You have mutants, mutant animals, and then you have optional type stuff. So you could have like a crazy hero, a legacy hero, so somebody who carries on like Batman Jr. or something. A mega hero, which is like the most powerful of the most powerful, so almost like gods. Super vehicles, physical training, psionics, robotics, special training, and special training breaks down a little more. But we'll get through all that. So anyways, again, list of all the minor abilities. So they make it really easy to find a lot of different things in these books. So this is the breakdown of why you have a new version and different game lines and stuff. About the cover and the artist. So how to play a role-playing game. Role-playing terms. Then it gets into creating characters, which, I don't really like how they do this. I actually wish that they just broke it down, like, I'll get into organization later. Personally, the organization of Palladium books is not my favorite thing about their books. However, I do think it's a very simple system, and, once you've played it, like 1 or 2 times, you should have it down. But here's bonuses based on your scores and your different attributes. Okay, and this kind of talks about how, things work. Here's an explanation of everything. So then it goes in, tells you speed chart and stuff. Hit points and SDC. Armor rating works a little different than most games. It's a standalone thing. So you have hit points, which are like your life points. Your SDC, which I kind of think of as like your pain threshold. And then you have an armor rating, which would be if you could have a natural armor rating, for example. But that's like a turtle has a natural armor because of its shell, for example. Robots would have an armor rating, things like that. You could wear armor that gives you an armor rating. Now, your armor rating, say it's like a 13 is your armor rating. Something has to hit above a 13 to hit the person. All right? And if it hits the person, it'll take SDC damage. Okay? Now, if it doesn't hit the armor rating, above the armor rating, your armor takes the damage, and your armor has an SDC rating too. And so if your armor ends up hitting 0 SDC, all of a sudden you have no more armor. It's broken. So that's kind of how that works. It's actually, I like how it's set up, to be honest. And on top of that, Heroes Unlimited is an active defense system. So you can parry and dodge an action, or an attack, I should say. It just kind of depends. So anyways, this goes over how you recover hit points, comas, side effects from serious hit point damage. I mean, it's got a lot of different, really in-depth rules, actually. Right here is your determining super abilities, and it's got the different classes you could be, basically. So there's an updated list in the Powers Unlimited 3 book that has all of the different, all these and then some. So that one's kind of nice. That's the one I actually use. But yeah, and then picking on alignment. The alignment system's completely different than Dungeons and Dragons, for example. You have principled, scrupulous, unprincipled, anarchist, miscreant, aberrant, and diabolic characters. So that's kind of how you deal with that. Now, principled is like Superman, and they have, at least they used to. Yeah, so for instance, a good character is the Boy Scout, the do-gooder. Scrupulous, values life and freedom above all else, but they're still really good. And then it breaks down Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson films, it gives you a good paragraph about it, and then it tells you like their moral code, basically. And it goes through all of them like that. So then you have optional rules to round out your character. Birth order, weight, height, age, disposition, life savings, land of origin. All these different things. Now, personally, I usually let people determine it in their backstory, but if you're looking for, inspiration or motivation, all these things you can roll randomly. So you don't have to plan it all out ahead of time. You can roll some of it up too, randomly, which is kind of nice. And nowhere in this book does it say you have to roll, and nowhere in this book does it say you have to choose. It's kind of left up to the GM, and I like that. Now, experience points. This is how you get experience points. It's not based on necessarily killing a certain level of monster. Okay, now it does have that option on here. 25 to 50 experience for subduing a minor menace. 75 to 100 for a major. 150 to 300 for a great menace. So it's got all that. Now, the one that gives you the most is a critical plan or action that saves the entire group or many people. So 1,000 would be like saving a city, for example. 400 might be a critical plan that saves, a few people, in a gas station from a robbery or something. Self-sacrifice, I've given that out one time before. But yeah, so you have that, and then you have insanity tables. That's an optional rule. Obsessions, again, a lot of different optional rules to add you can use for the game. Most of it's not necessary. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. The real basics of the game are you roll a character up, a generic superhero, or whatever superhero you want, and then you create a superhero group or work with a couple of other independent superheroes in your game, and you fight bad guys and save the world. Typical comic book stuff. Goes into tradition and history right here. This is more about like the legacy type heroes. So they added some flavor for the game that they didn't used to have. So it can add more backstory to your character. There's an education system. So you can roll, or I like to let my characters decide what their backstory is. But you can roll, so 1 through 10, all the way through 100, because it's percentile based. With the max score being a doctorate or a PhD, and the lowest level to be street schooled. Now, there are benefits to being street schooled, for example. You could then take rogue classes, or rogue skills, which you can't normally do if you're a master's degree. At this level over here, after high school, you could do military instead of trade school or any of these. That gives you different skills that you can't get by other ways. But the higher up you go, the more skills you tend to get. And you also get higher bonuses to your skills. There are restrictions. Here's the skill programs. So all the different programs you can do. There are secondary skills. Here's all the skills. Okay. And then it gives a breakdown of how they work over here. So this is then, you can read all different ways to use it, how it works. Usually when your character levels up, they get a plus. So for instance, the base skill of imitate voices impersonation is 16%. Now, if your character this was part of their skill program, they'd get whatever bonus from their education. Also an IQ bonus if they have an IQ bonus, and that would go on top of the 16%. It's a one-time bonus. So we'll just assume they had 10% extra for whatever their education level was, and they had 5% extra from their IQ. So that would make it 31% starting out plus 4% per level of experience. So every time they level up, they'll get 4%. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, so there's all sorts of different skills. They have some of these really old photos from the 80s that they had used. There's skills for almost everything. Some of the skills are a little bit outdated and will never be used in a modern setting, but you can always add skills as you see fit and give them a relevant percentage for what you think that they should be. Then it goes into a breakdown of how combat works. So attacker rolls to strike. I kind of already explained that. Now the defender may parry, dodge, or entangle. So for instance, if they're really far away and the person threw a rock or threw something like at them, they could dodge it. They can't parry it. They can't entangle it. They could just dodge in that case. Now, if a guy's right next to him and decides to throw a punch at him, they could parry it, they could try to dodge it, or they could entangle. So there's a little bit of realism involved. Okay. Parry can be used without wasting a melee attack. Characters with no hand-to-hand combat training will lose their next melee attack every time they parry. Defending by dodging or entangling means automatically giving up the next melee attack. So there's all sorts of different things you can do. But you have to be trained in fighting to automatically parry. Again, then if they rule that it hits, take damage. Then the defender, if with taking damage, can choose to roll with the punch, impact, or fall. So you can go with it, taking partial damage. So there's all sorts of different things. Like I said, great, very in-depth. Here's the breakdown of basic damage. Some more right there. Here's all these are actions in combat and stuff. Now here's the hand-to-hand types. There's hand-to-hand basic, which does not count as trained fighting. Everyone gets this. So everyone will automatically have this. Then there's expert, which you could think of like a military person having experts. They've been trained how to fight, for example. Martial arts, and then an assassin. Assassins, a lot of people don't let people take assassin. I'm fine with whatever as long as you can justify it. Here's super abilities in combat. Weapon combat, which a lot of people have issues with that. I don't mind how it's set up. Again, different actions with weapon combat. Missiles. I believe there's vehicle combat. Yeah, vehicle control and combat. And here's a chart with speeds and stuff. And damage for the speed. So 5d6 times 10, for example, for a war. Oh, that's missiles, sorry. Sorry about that. I was like, whoa, that sounds a little high. Yeah, and so this is a breakdown of how, when you'll have to roll for your driving skills and stuff. So again, vehicle rules. More vehicle rules. A lot of rules for this game, there really are. But if you keep it simple, it's not that bad. Aliens. My very first character was an alien. Loved it. So there's that. All sorts of different stuff for that. What weapon they would start with, what type of planet they're from, how that affects their abilities, what type of alien they are, whether they're a crystalloid, or, ET type alien or whatever. I believe this, yep, cyborgs, bionics, a lot of good stuff. If you like superheroes, I strongly advise going with this game. It's $20 brand new, 25 maybe. Powers Unlimited books are like 10 or 15 bucks each. So you could basically be running with this game for really hardly anything at all, and you would have everything you need. So super soldier option. Hardware is kind of like a little bit like Batman, able to build his own stuff, or Iron Man even. And there's different specialties for it. You could try to be a jack of all trades. but then you're not as good. So, again, awesome stuff here. Any kind of character you would ever want to make, you can do. There are limitations by the main book, but when you buy the other books, it adds abilities and it adds classes, which make it so you could play any character you want. Magic. I don't like using magic that much in any game, to be honest. But they do have the option. They also have psionics as an option. So you can play a psionic character. Now, a psionic character is not like Professor Xavier and Jean Grey. It's a little bit different. It's more like mind attacks and illusions and stuff. But you can play it almost any way you want. It's just handled differently. Mutants. So this could be your standard mutants, which are awesome. Unusual characteristics table, which you can roll for none, no unusual ones. Or you could pick. I like to let my players pick. Hair color, type of skin, eyes. Then you could do mutant animals. Now, if you want to get into doing animals, you could either use the old TMNT with the Bio E points, which this goes a little bit into, or After the Bomb, which is the newer version of TMNT and more compatible with this book than TMNT. So keep that in mind if you want to do some animals. It's awesome for kids. Kids love the idea of playing animals for some reason. I think it's cool. I mean, so here it gives the explanation of Bio E points. Still to this day, I hear people say how this Bio E points is a fantastic way for character creation. This whole point buy thing. So you can choose, if they're bipedal or things like that, how their feet and hands are, and you have to pay for it. So yeah, there's all sorts of different things. And there's perks as to why you would want to pay for something to be better than something else. You could try to abuse the system, but I'll be honest, it's easy. It's very easy. I mean, I can tell you this. You're going to start off with about 30 to 50 SDC as most characters. If you want to, make your character indestructible, make him a metal character or something like that, or alter physical structure ability. He'll have multiple hundreds of SDC. And then he might have a natural armor rating or resistance to certain things. I mean, it's as simple as that. Oh, my guy's metal. You can't hurt him, So, whatever. If you're worried about game balance, it's going to be hard to find with this. If you want to have a fun superhero experience and you just want to kick people's butt and save the world and things like that, this is perfect for you. So, psionics, robotics. Again, like I said, I love the artwork in here. That's artificial intelligence. That's why I was showing skills again. You can make yourself Terminator. That one's cool. I like that a lot. Awesome stuff. Oh yeah, and you get a budget if you're robotic, so you can basically build yourself or your guy's vehicle, basically. Or Iron Man suit would be probably robotics. Special training. Now this is more, like it says, it's special. It's specialized. So this is the Ancient Master. Now, a lot of people don't let their players play an Ancient Master because it's a level 15 character from the start. There's your age. You can be 90 years old. Modern world time. I mean, you basically play a guy who's from a monastery and has focused his life on this. Oh, apparently you don't start at level 15 anymore. It's 1d6 plus 3. But yeah, you don't start at level 1. So that's the only one that's like that. And then you can be the Master of Combat Arts. So, awesome stuff. I forgot they changed that, though. Hunter Vigilante is cool. Secret Operative. The Stage Magician. Now, I love this artwork. for this guy. And it actually, for a long time, made me want to play a guy like that. You have sleight of hand and things like that. Cool stuff. The Super Sleuth. And then it goes into super abilities. So then you can roll, or you can pick in my games, as long as you didn't choose immortality, invulnerable, and health regeneration or something, so you can't ever die. But yeah, you can roll for how many abilities if your class allows it. Some of them tell you how many abilities to pick. Some of them don't give you this. Like a hardware character won't have any super abilities. So, and then here's the minor super abilities. Here's the major super abilities. All right. So major are like the really, really good ones. So immortality, magnetism, invisibility. Minors, body weapons. So your hand can turn into a weapon. X-ray vision, adhesion, radar. I mean, some of these could probably be switched too. But yeah, really cool stuff. So, and then you get alter physical structure, subtable, which again, I love that. So yeah, and then it goes into the explanations of how the abilities work and what you get for it. Wingless flight, glide flight. So that, like I said, I love this game. I really get excited about it. Even flipping through this book kind of makes me want to play it again. I like that character. He looks cool. This dude's cool. I remember tracing him and telling people I drew him. People believed me. Oh, such good stuff. The plasma guy. Alter physical structure plasma. Awesome. That dude looks cool. But anyway, so if you end up buying this and the Powers Unlimited 1 through 3, you want to add to your world, you can always go buy the Villains Unlimited book. Now, the one I have is a little outdated, but it still has a lot of very interesting characters in it. You can also buy Century Station, which is the setting book for their superhero city. It's like their metropolis. You can buy Gramercy Island, which is the prison, which is just off of the... it's on an island across from Century Station. You can also get Mutant Underground. So those are some things you can buy to add flavor to your Heroes Unlimited game. There's a book that came out a few years ago called Armageddon Unlimited, and it goes in part with the Rift series for basically like the end of the world starting. But it's a Heroes Unlimited supplement called Armageddon Unlimited. And it, starts to give you... One, it gives you a couple extra character types, like demons and stuff, to play as superheroes. And it gives you a storyline if you want to follow it. If you're a player and your GM is planning... Because they call it a game master in this, so that's why I call it a game master as well. Because I grew up on this game, and so it's just my habit to call everything a game master. But if your GM is planning on running any of those, you probably should not read that book. It's a good read. If you would be the only person to run the game, then you should probably be the one reading it. And you could get ideas for all sorts of games by reading that as well. So again, these are spells, magic explained and how it works. You have a magic system which works on PPE, which is stands for potential psychic energy. Then you have psychics who use ISP, and I think it's like inner strength points or something like that. And it's basically just the way they measure your psionic points. Instead of just calling them psionic points. It can be a little a little confusing for somebody new when they're like, oh, I have a psychic, but I don't have potential psychic energy. I don't understand. You know, but it's just how the system was made a long time ago. Now here's the equipment section. It's very small in this new book. We got weapons. Whereas the old one had a lot more equipment pages and it had an adventure at the end. This does not have an adventure at the end. It has some vehicles, a sheet of fantasy weapons, and then experience points. So that's it. And yeah, that's Heroes Unlimited 2nd edition. It was probably my favorite game for, oh man, 14 years? 12? Yeah, 14. Yeah, probably about 14 years. So, and that's it for my Flip Through Friday. This is a long one, so hopefully you guys watch the whole thing. And that's it. Thank you. Bye.